Here we go. The total cost for a whole, like, let's do a scenario, yeah, an example of a survival sum, yeah, a survival plan for the world, yeah. Say we're in the world the year 9000 plus, yeah. First, we need this is what we do. The first part would be like project 1A, yeah. Example, you'd need product design plan cost, factory cost, equipment cost, manufacturing cost, staff cost, security cost, warehouse and storage cost, yeah? That's the first part. The second part is distribution cost, transport cost, haulage cost, vehicle cost, fuel cost, driver cost, transport security cost. The third, that would also include import, export, shipping, flight and train and all other costs, yeah? The third part would be product delivery cost, safe sale and return cost, consumer outlet cost, special superstores cost, product security cost, also staff to do all that. The third part is the part that Project IQ does, because Project IQ goes straight in there and says, what is the survival sum for the product? The survival sum for the product already made. I took an existing example of a food hamper and with bottled water and all good foods to last 1 week for $100. Also $100 for emergency living aid accommodation and gas, electric amenities or emergency hotels. Also $100 for emergency survival equipment, sleeping bags, tents, etc, etc. So that gives you $300 per person per week. You times that by a population figure of 10 billion people, so you come up with a survival sum of 3,000 billion. The third part I've done. That is the survival sum for 10 billion people. The survival sum is 3,000 billion. The first part, you know, the manufacturing cost, you're looking into billions. If you take into the cost of the factories and warehouses, you could even be going into trillions here. If you go into the haulage cost, I did an example. If 100 euros covers a distance of 200 miles in diesel or fuel, then the cost to cover 400 square miles in transportation costs would be 63 million, yeah, euros as an example. So that is just an example of the figures and the staggering sums and formulas needed for such a plan. But it also shows that anything is possible. I started this project with I'm a very positive person, very persistent person, and never give up, stay positive, anything is possible. Check some on this. Yes, never give up, stay positive, anything is possible. Like I said, I'm a mathematician and the survival sum is done. The haulage sum is an example. To cover for a truck, using that amount of fuel for that amount of distance, to cover 400 square miles would be 63 million in fuel alone. That's just in fuel, without driver salary, without the cost for the vehicles and all that. So we're looking at staggering amounts here. But the survival sum for 10 billion people is 3,000 billion, and that's just for 1 week. Yeah? So 3,000 billion just for the product alone, for the survival sum for 10 billion people. That's the sum. 3,000 billion a week, 52 weeks a year, for the next 100 years, for the next 1,000 years, for the next 1 trillion years. That will still be the sum and the correct mathematics in my example. It's checked, it's double checked, it's triple checked, it's quadruple checked. It's done. So that is my example. Anything is possible, never give up. So I've given an example for the product cost, the haulage cost. The only other example would be the manufacturing cost. I would do a rough estimate. You're going into trillions. If you include the warehouse and the factory costs, you're looking at, you do a starting figure of something like a backup survival thing of something like 100 trillion. Because you're looking at land and property cost alone as well. So you're looking, and it could even be double that, or it could even be 1,000 times that. You're going into trillions. You're going into centillions. That, you know, if you included warehouses, factories, all that, you're looking into staggering sums. But anything is possible. Like I say, I did the survival sum and I went up to 100 billion people. Anything is possible. So the manufacturing costs, you know, have to use an example of a food hamper factory that produces 100 food hampers, the cost of that, and then you times that by 10 billion. So that's just a starting block example. So, but if you included everything, you're looking at, you know, rough example, you're looking at 100 trillion, probably times that by 1,000 because of land cost, factory cost, and all of that. So that's a separate project, okay? But this is the survival sum, and this is the example for the haulage sum as well. So 400 million square miles would cost 63 million in fuel. The survival sum for 10 billion people, just for the product alone, is 3,000 billion a week. 52 weeks a year for the future of eternity. For the next 100 years, for the next 1,000 years, for the next 1 trillion years. For the next infinity of years. For the future survival of the human race. For the future survival of mankind. My name is Herbert Hexon, I'm a mathematician. Thank you very much. I wish you every happiness. Never give up. Stay positive. Yes. Project IQ. IQ 1. Thank you very much. So that is the Project IQ. Thank you very much. Thank you. ZXI. Security license. 0Z1 and 0Z2. Very, very serious. Very, very important. Very, very serious. Very important. Thank you very much. Very, very serious. Very, very important. Thank you, I'm Herbert Hexon, mathematician. Very, very serious. Very, very important. Thank you very much. Never give up. Anything is possible. Thank you. Herbert Hexon.